Many have heard Mama Vi tell stories of how the annexes came into being. For many, the story begins with someone approaching Mama Vi and saying there should be an annex in some city, state, or country. Boston was not one of these stories. Quite the opposite. The conversation began with Mama Vi stating to the group, "You know, Boston is full of history. Our history. There should be an annex there." Another member of the group enthusiastically chimes in, "Yes, I've long thought that and support this idea." At that point, all gazes turned towards us, the then future griots of the Boston Annex. We met their gazes, looked at each other, and found ourselves saying, "Well, it seems we're hosting an annex." What an amazing ride it's been so far, and the ride has only barely begun. Our community did not disappoint. Book donations began right away, before we could think about it twice, bow out, or find ourselves caught up in some other project. We quickly got some bookcases and had the doors frosted and branded to house these treasures while simultaneously masking the contents enough to avert standard curiosity, a need to be met when housed in a home. Behind these doors, there are 591 cataloged books, magazines, event programs, and other forms of print media from 233 different authors. Sitting off to the side are an additional 3 boxes of donations that still need to be cataloged. We had our introductory event in January 2018, where we informally discussed what the library is, why it is important, and stated that we wanted the Boston Annex to help people on their journeys to show them the history of the scene through all forms of print media. It didn't take long for us to want to do more, and thus the Annex began hosting events. We brought in educators for weekend-long intensive trainings. We asked authors to come do book readings. We even hosted formal dinner parties as another means of growing our community and fostering connection. One attendee has said, "I have been to a number of events at the Boston Annex, which is currently in the home of the Annex's griots. The space that they have created to display the books, to welcome visitors to the library and to their events, is warm and welcoming. In opening their home to the library, the Annex has created a home for other like-minded individuals to read, to learn, and to grow." Our first author reading was Raven Caldera and his boy Joshua, reading from their book, Dear Raven and Joshua, Questions and Answers about Master-Slave Relationships. The authors did not disappoint. They were full of life, and they brought their stories to life. The room of attendees asked thoughtful questions and remained engaged the whole time. The event ran over so that all questions were answered, and it was an absolutely wonderful afternoon. Our next author reading was Andrew James reading from Miss Abernathy's Concise Slave Training Manual. As storytellers often do, he brought much of his own personal history into this reading, which provided a greater insight into the depth of understanding of lessons contained within the pages of this book. A personal joy we experienced with each author reading and each event is that we have the opportunity to see our community grow. It's not just the personal growth of the people in the room that we know, which always happens and is a thrill, absolutely no doubt, but it's also the people who are in attendance who have made the trek off the beaten path to our home that we don't know, that we meet at these events for the first time. Seeing the community growth in this fashion is fuel to keep us motivated to host more events. Of this, another attendee has said, "I had the great pleasure to attend every event at the Boston Annex has had, which included several author readings and several weekend intensives. I can say categorically that these events have enriched our community immensely, providing new opportunities for social interaction, a welcoming space, and some powerful and thoughtful, provoking experiences." We have been honored to host Lady Catherine Gross not once but twice to bring her intensives to New England. First was Servants Retreat, which was a small, intimate event, and next was Foundations in Mastery, which maxed out our space and had a wait list. Of Servants Retreat, one attendee said that it was a safe space to share emotions, thoughts, and ideas. It brought me closer to the S I was already friends with, and it made more wonderful S's into my life that I can share this journey with. At the end of 2019, Lee Harrington brought his Delving into Power intensive to our space. Again, the space was at full capacity as we all found different ways of thinking about power. One attendee remarked, "Delving into Power with Lee Harrington helped me and my girl think through our deepest desires for our relationship. As a result, we move towards a more authentic expression of DS that reflects our individual and joint strengths." One major group takeaway that happened right before the event closed was that we were all reminded of the importance of celebrating the big occasions, the little moments. It was the importance of celebrating in general. As we were organizing what we wanted to do with 2020, COVID-19 hit, and we had to cancel our events, just like everybody else. We look forward to hosting these and many other events when we can safely open our home back up. Sometime after we'd started the Annex, we ran into Mama Vi at an event and we told her all about what we'd been doing. She listened intensely and cheered whenever she damn well wanted to during our stories. But at the end, she reflected that we had not done things as she would have expected, or by the books, so to speak. And she said to us, "You've gone rogue." Well, that's just like Boston, isn't it? And with that, the Rogue Gazette was born. The Rogue Gazette is a newsletter that seeks to educate and entertain its readership on the subject of leather lifestyle and culture, MS relationships, and kink. We strive to bring diverse communities together with compassionate inclusivity. By nurturing dialogue within our communities, we can cross barriers and foster personal and community growth. The first issue came out at the tail end of 2019, and the remaining 3 issues have all come out under the cloud of COVID-19. The editorial staff worked tirelessly through 2020 because they understood and took to heart the even greater importance the newsletter had in these trying times. From the managing and senior editor, when the griots of the Boston Annex told me they wanted to create a newsletter, I knew I had to be involved. From the very first brainstorming sessions to the completion of the most recent 4th issue, I've been all in. The newsletter is a labor of love, and I thank the Annex griots for this opportunity to give back to my community. With this, we are all interacting with our community, whether it's conducting interviews or seeking written contributions. It's through these efforts that our history is alive and continuing to be made right now. And we will continue to tell its story.